Hello and welcome to this demo video. Before we get started, I'd just like to explain to you a few things which will relate to all of the basic range spreadsheets. Number one, there is a key on the intro and setup tab of all of the spreadsheets showing what the different color headers mean. The blue headers mean that the cell's formulated, so it's locked and you can't change it. The yellow headers are where you can input data, and occasionally there might be some gray headers, which is just a different kind of data input, but we'll include instructions as and when that happens. The other thing that you can be aware of is there are ways in which you can damage the spreadsheet. So please do take a look at the link where you see this image, which will take you to a web page to show you how to better preserve your spreadsheet. Please feel free to keep a blank version of the spreadsheet somewhere, so that if you do mess up a spreadsheet that you're using, you can in fact just open a new one, a blank one. And some of the spreadsheets only last for a year, and then you've got a blank one to start the following year. So do keep a blank copy as a backup somewhere. And lastly, wherever you see this image, you can click on it. It'll take you back to the store where you purchased this product to see if you've got anything, any more products. One last thing, to see a demo video, you can click on this on a link that looks like this in order to go to the demo video, but that'll take you to the most recent demo. If in fact we've done upgrades and you're using an older version and you'd like to see the demo relating to your version, then do click on the watch on YouTube link, which will take you to that specific video on YouTube. So I think that's all you need to know. So without further ado, let's move on to this demo video. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to the demo video for the workload calculator. This is a spreadsheet that I've made primarily with sole traders or small business owners where you kind of running the business yourself. It could work with various people, but you just got to be careful with how you use it. It's not an accurate tool, but what it's designed to do is to kind of gauge how much work you have on. And what I mean by this is very often we may, I know this happens to me where I will say, well, this job will take so many hours to do. The problem is sometimes I'm not working at capacity, which means I'm not necessarily working flat out to the best I can, because maybe, you know, as a parent, you got the child around at some point and they could be distracting, or you've got other things going on, or you've got other people around you and you might not be working flat out. Other times you are working and you're being really productive. Then there are other times where maybe, I know for me, I organize meetings at specific times of the day. So those times, if I have a meeting on, then obviously I'm not doing any client work. But if I don't have a meeting on, then I'm being quite productive. So what I wanted to do was try and create a spreadsheet where you can kind of say which times of the day you are working and how productive you usually are, but then you can also say how much of that time are you actually working at that productivity rate. So for argument's sake, I'll show you in a minute when I fill it in, but you'll be able to adjust to your workload, to when you're actually working, how productive you feel you being, and how much of the time you're actually using for client work. And then there's another tab on the spreadsheet where you can then list your jobs. You can list how long they should take, and you can also list how far into them, or what percentage of that job you've already completed. And then what the spreadsheet does is it puts all of that together, and it actually predicts when your workload is going to come to an end. So if you get a new job in, you can say to them, well, hold on, I've got work up until the end of the month or the end of the year, or however it works. And it gives you well, as accurate as it can be, predictions to when that work will end. But it's not doing things retrospectively. It's always looking in the future. So every day it updates and looks, okay, let's start from today. What workload do you have? And it refreshes so that you then are always looking at the future. So it's not using anything that's happened in the past. You don't have to put actual figures in. It's all just predicted stuff. So let me go through what you need to do on this first page, the intro and setup. You can fill in your name or your business name or whatever it is you want there. This is just for the spreadsheet. It doesn't go anywhere. This stuff here, I would leave that blank for now until you know what's going on, until you're familiar with how the spreadsheet works. But on the next page, each of these selections that you can make relate to a percentage, and I put what the percentage there that is the default. If you then want to come and change it, you can come and override these percentages. So if you say, well, completely focused is not 100%, but 90%, for example, then you can put 90% in there and it'll override the 100. But as I said, I've set these up specifically so that they relate to the words that are next to them. So my guess is most of you won't touch this, but if you really are pedantic and you want to adjust those percentages, you can do that. The other thing are the bank holidays. Again, leave this. This is just for kind of looking in the future. If there's a bank holiday that changes, sometimes there's a bank holiday on a Thursday, whatever, and they want to make a long weekend out of it and they switch it over to Friday, whatever. This is just in the UK. It calculates UK bank holidays. So you can put in, so let's say the 1st of January changes to the 2nd of January for some strange reason. You can just type in the 1st of Jan and the year. And then you can put in, and then it finds it. It says, yes, that's a found bank holiday. And then you can put in the 2nd of Jan. And what that does is it basically just switches the bank holiday from one day to the other. It only does it for the year that you enter. Again, because this is a predicted, an estimate, you might not even want to bother doing that if it does change. If it's one day out, it might not be the end of the world to you. So you don't necessarily need to change that. But again, if you want to, you can. So that's that. I wouldn't, in fact, most of you probably wouldn't even touch anything over here. You just put in the name over here. The rest of it you can, in fact, just leave blank. But if you do want to come and edit any of those two things, you can do that. This is the main tab, and this is what you do need to fill in. You need to think about your business, well, your work patterns, should we say. So I've just put in some random stuff here. We work from 8 o'clock in the morning till 11. Between 12 and 1, you take a lunch break, and then from 1 onwards, you continue. These are all the start of the hour. So this will be midnight to 1, or midnight to 1 second before 1 a.m., 1 a.m. to 1 second before 2, etc., etc. And then what you need to do is go through here and select if you're working. So if you get up at 4 a.m. and do some work, how focused are you? Completely focused, somewhat, halfway, slightly, not really. So this can be things like sometimes in the morning, there are various hours where I'm working where I'm not entirely focused because there could be a toddler running around, or 4-year-old running around, or whatever the case might be, and you're not particularly focused. So you can put in how focused you are. If you do, in fact, set aside time to work, and when you are working, you completely focus and 100%, and you don't mess about with hours when you're not actually completely focused, that's fine. Then just simply select completely for everything that you select. But this just gives you the option to be able to select how focused you are throughout each of those hours. And here you can do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then what you do on bank holidays. The next one on, if you select anything over here, this one automatically goes green. What that means is it's automatically using the all option. It doesn't say all, but it turns green to tell you that it is actually using all as a default. So if all of these hours you're focused and you're using them all for client work, then you can click all. You can leave those ones green and don't fit anything in. However, what I meant by all the time is you may actually, so for example, let's just say 4 o'clock on a Monday, you might be completely focused. However, you may also organize meetings for 4 o'clock on a Monday, Zoom calls or one-to-ones or whatever else it is that you need to do. Or it might even be something that's not even related to that. It might even be time that you often set aside for creating marketing content or posting on LinkedIn or whatever it might be, which is not client work, but it's work that you're doing for the business. So what this does is then if you select, well, actually these times here, 3 and 4, I do meetings, for example. So I've put half, which means that half of the time in those hour slots, it's going to allow for work, and the other half is going to allow for meetings. So I might have this Monday, I might have all meetings. The next Monday, I might not have any meetings. So I'm completely focused, but I put half as a general rule to say, well, half of this time generally on a Monday at that time is for work, because the other half is often spent on meetings. So the spreadsheet now knows that I'm completely focused, but I'm only working half of the time. So that's how this works. I've done it in over two sections so that it gives you, I don't know, if I just gave 1%, a lot of people wouldn't necessarily be able to calculate it and we get confused as to what's going on. Whereas here you can actually see your routine. You can see how focused you are and how much of the time you're using. And what that then does is this then takes that time and goes, all right, it predicts into the next, I think, up to 4 years. It looks 4 years worth, and it goes, all right, these are the days you've got available to work. This is the time that you say you've got available to work. And then it puts all the jobs in and puts them all in the order and tells you when you're going to start and finish each one. And that is on this tab. So once you fill that in, you can go across to the current jobs, and you can just simply list the jobs. If your jobs have got a job number, you can put it in there. The job name, you can type in here. And then how many hours work do you need to do on that particular project? And what percentage completion are they? So every day, at the end of the day, you can update this. When it's calculating how many days it's got, it'll take today's date in as usable, and it'll look at these percentages. So these percentages, it will assume, were at the close of play yesterday. So if you get to the close of play on the day that you've actually finished the work and update these percentages, this percentage here, that end of work, and this information here might be slightly out by a day until the next morning. The next morning, when you open it up, it will refresh to the new date, and it'll all be up to date again. So just keep that in mind. You can fill this in. If one of these jobs gets to 100%, then it disappears off the list and it's not included anymore. So what you can do then is this will then calculate, so the last thing is the order. I've put 1 decimal place in case you want to slot something in. You've already got a 1, you've already got a 2, you can put 1.1 or something. But essentially all this does is if you put in a value here, it just tells the spreadsheet what order to do these jobs in. It's also quite handy because then you can come here afterwards and you can sort smallest to largest to actually put the jobs in the order that you want them. So as you add them, you can come here to use this column to reorder jobs. It doesn't matter whether you sort it or not, it will take it in the order that you've got it. And then essentially all it does is it shows you when that planned start date is. The start date of the first one will always be today. It assumes you're starting, and then the end date, it'll tell you where the end date is. And these will change according to the percentage that you've completed, and it'll tell you when you're due to end the project. So that is that. It's very simple. This is the information at the top here that you're interested in, these two, and then the start and end dates. And as I said, it's merely an indication of when you're working, because I know a lot of people are saying, well, the work just kind of piles up the inquiries, and they're looking at this going, I don't know, is this a month's worth of work? Is this 3 months? And then they're still trying to calculate how long it'll take. You just put the data in here, set up your schedule at the beginning. You can change this as you go along by all means, but that may well stay fairly constant. And then your jobs, just keep your job list up to date, and this will keep the figures up to date, telling you when you can take on some new work for and how long the current work's going to last. So I hope that all makes sense to you. I hope that that's useful to you. And if this is the kind of thing that you need, then yeah, please do enjoy using the spreadsheet. And I hope that it really helps you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.